Last week, I surprised my friends Violet and Joanne with a hanami in America. In translation, basically a cherry blossom event. The main focus of the event was the cherry blossom tree, which I built myself. Now, whenever you take on a new project, the first thing that you probably do is try to find a tutorial or some kind of idea of how to make it, mainly on YouTube. But there were very few videos that gave me the ideas or tutorials that I needed in order to build the tree that I had in my mind. So today I am going to share with you guys how I built my cherry blossom tree.
マトカが参ります。ご注意ください。
Now listen, I'm no DIY expert, and I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty difficult to take on this project, but I feel like the result was well worth the effort. At the very least, it's a nice centerpiece for your garden or even in your home, and you don't have the upkeep of having a real tree. And it really does make my day when I see the tree through my window or if I'm having a morning coffee in my backyard. And in all reality, if I was able to do something like this, then I'm sure you guys can too if you want to. Now, before I get into it, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It's free, it's quick, and it really helps my channel out so that I can keep making content for you guys. Going the extra mile and liking this video and also sharing it to your friends really helps, no lie. Also, make sure to follow me on my other socials to get a glimpse of what's next. Okay, let's get started. First, I needed a base, something that resembled a tree. And what better than an actual tree? Well, of course not a real tree, but part of a tree. I was able to get a nice piece of scrap wood from a tree that was being cut down. I was more concerned about the shape, and this specific piece had a branch about chest height, so perfect for pictures. I waited for a while for the branch to dry up so it would be lighter, and then started with other preparations. Now, the most important part of the project are the flowers. And if you've looked at fake flowers online in the US, they're not cheap. If you try to buy cherry blossoms at your local Michael's or arts and crafts store, you're probably going to be paying $7 to $14 per stem. And I'm out here trying to cut my losses and not spend a fortune, else I would have paid someone to make it, or just buy a whole cherry blossom tree pre-made from China. But I stumbled across this website called Alibaba. And while it's a bit scary to use as a first-time wholesale purchaser who doesn't speak any Chinese, I managed to get a good deal of 100 flower stems for $2 each. Now, the trade-off for using Alibaba is that you have to buy in bulk. So if you're only looking to populate your tree with 5 to 10 stems, then this might not be the right method for you. Also, keep in mind that you have to ship them from China, so shipping can be a bitch. If shipping and buying in bulk wasn't a big factor, I probably would have just bought a ready-made cherry blossom tree from Alibaba. But I don't even want to think how much shipping would cost for something that big. And on a side note, I had this fear that I would never actually be able to get my flowers because when I gave them my address initially, they wrote it down incorrectly. And so when I inquired about that, saying like, hey, you gotta change my address or else I'm not gonna get these flowers, they said, oh no, it's okay. They will find you, which was creepy and everything, but it ended up working out, so I guess I can't complain. But 3 weeks after I purchased them, they finally arrived at my doorstep. I made a little nervous unboxing video with a new mic that I had no idea how to use, so I apologize for the audio quality, but here's my first reaction seeing the cherry blossoms IRL. Well guys, it's arrived. So I just got the package for the flowers. It came at like pretty much the time that I thought it was gonna come. It said 10 to 15 days of shipping, and I sure paid a buttload for getting the shipping in that amount of time. Obviously it's from China, so of course shipping's gonna be more expensive. And then with the pandemic too, like that just rose costs even more. But I want to do a unboxing. I think it's my first unboxing on this channel in the first place, so it is pretty exciting. Am I worried? Yes. Just because the process was a little bit sketchy in my opinion. I've never done anything with Alibaba or anything like that before, so I didn't really know what to expect in the first place. If the flowers actually suck ass, then that's not good. I'm just gonna have to make the tree with crappy flowers, which is gonna ruin the whole aesthetic in the first place. We are going to unbox it and see what's up. So here we go. Time to unbox. Interesting. So this is what we're working with. Oh, and they're already falling apart. Love that. So of course they've been in the packaging for quite some time, so I think it'll need a little bit of time to air. We'll kind of like fluff it up and leave it out for a little bit and see if that helps. Now already an issue that I kind of see is, I mean obviously pictures are always going to look a little better, but as you can see, the wiring that holds the flowers itself is not the same color as the stem. So you can see here that the stem is the brown, which it should be, but the wiring that attaches to the flower itself is white. That might just be for aesthetics, but you know, when I like make the tree and stuff, if you look closer, you're gonna be able to see that. I think the only other issue is the coloring. I think the coloring is a little different than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be a little more on the wider side than the super bright pink side, but this is better than a like very pungent pink. Obviously number one is going to be China quality. Number two, I'm not paying as much as I am for like if I got it at an American retailer. These were probably about $2 a piece. If you buy it anywhere basically in America at any retail shop or anything like that, they would range from $6 to $12 for one piece. I bought 100 of these, so it was around $200 just for the bulk of it. And I didn't want to pay $600 to $1,200 to make this tree. So I'm gonna go ahead and unbox all of this, kind of fluff it up, and I'm probably gonna just leave it out for a while to get a little air, hopefully like, you know, fluff it up like this and make it look a little more natural. So after fluffing them up for a few hours and letting them sit, because they had a smell that was not pleasant in the least, I actually really liked how they looked compared to directly taking them out of the box. Thus, my initial worries were calmed, but damn, your boy still needed to do a shit ton of work to turn a dead branch and 100 fake flowers into something worthy of being called a cherry blossom tree. I got some help and came up with a plan to mount the tree. A not super intricate design consisting of a box made from some spare wood boards and L brackets to stabilize the tree. I had to cut the base of the tree in order to sit flat on the wood, and then measure out the wood planks in order to be able to make an even-sized box. Then with some glue and a fair amount of screws, the box was made. Honestly, not too hard, especially if you have a nice saw and drill. But something was already bothering me. After referring to some aesthetic cherry blossom season pictures based in Japan, I noticed that the color of the trunk is a darker brown. And the perfectionist that I am, I couldn't stand to have such a difference. This is where I learned some new DIY information, and it's called stains, which are specifically for wood. Now, stains change the color of your wood, and they're usually used for wood flooring, but it comes in a few different forms. The main variety are water stains and oil stains. Both are pretty permanent, but oil stains really soak into the wood. Now the downside is, oil stains can be much messier because they don't just wash away with water. You need to be careful if you get it on your clothes, the floor, or basically anywhere besides your intended wooden surface. Because it's freaking hard to paint a tree with branches going here and there and almost poking my eye out, I decided to use a water stain for the tree and an oil stain for the box. For the tree at least, I could have used some kind of spray paint or a sprayer in general to make the job so much easier, or just not have bothered with the stain in general. But it was Earth Day around the time that I was making this, and I wanted to give a shout out to Mother Nature and say, yeah, I probably do harm in other ways, but I'm still somewhat conscious of my actions, and hey, I'm trying, you know? But let's also point out that I am a complete dumbass that is using a dark cherry stain to paint a tree while wearing all white. I guess this was my little way of living life on the edge. Painting the box was much easier. I used the oil stain on the box since it was made of plywood, and it gave it a bit more of a rich color than the water stain did on the tree. The color didn't completely match the tree, but I was fine with it cause it looked good anyways. After letting the stains dry and going over them a few more times to make sure that I didn't miss too many spots, I prepared to mount the tree. Using the few different size L brackets and screws, I was able to mount the tree onto the box with little difficulty. I wanted to make sure that the screws were not too long, yet not too short, so that they provide stability into the tree, but didn't damage the wood or touch each other. Anything that could cause trouble in the future. Thank God for technology though, cause these automatic drills really made the process fast, and I was on my way to start populating the tree with flowers. Arranging the flowers on the tree is probably the most tedious task of them all. If you get a rhythm down, you can easily get it all done in a couple of days, but it took me a bit of a learning curve to get a process down in order to finish it all up. Firstly, you're gonna need some gardening wire. I found this wire off of Amazon that's coated with a fiber-like material, mimicking brown vine or a wood finish of some sort. I cut it into about 3-inch strips, but depending on how large the branch is, you might need it longer. And then use these strips to mount the cherry blossom branches to the real branches of the tree. I would suggest cutting down the full cherry blossom branch into smaller pieces where the branch is most thin, as it's easier to disguise the branch and tie it to the real branch on the real tree. I tried using the full branch, but it was too heavy and the weight wasn't supported by the branches of the real tree, so it drooped too much and kinda gave it a bad look in my opinion. I used the wire as a twisty tie to tie it to the main tree branch. Like, you know when you're at the grocery store produce section and you put some broccoli in a bag and then you use the green twist tie to tie up the bag? It's like the same idea, but I gave it a few good twists to tightly secure it onto the branch. Ya boy got some calluses on his fingers from this, but hey, that's what hard work does, am I right? And after a few days of attaching flowers, adding extra flowers to spots that looked a bit bare, and getting on a ladder to reach those tall places, I finally finished my masterpiece. Well, I don't know if I would call it a masterpiece, but it's a tree. I think there are many ways to approach a project like this, so you don't necessarily have to follow everything that I did. But I hope that my experience of making a cherry blossom tree will give you ideas and spark a passion for the next project that you take on. And there you have it, a beautiful cherry blossom tree that looks pretty freaking good in my opinion. If you haven't already, make sure to check out the hanami video to see the full cherry blossom event and how I surprised my friends with the cherry blossom tree and some super amazing Japanese food. I really want to thank you guys for the support that you gave me on the last video and all the really nice comments that you left. I mean, if we're being completely honest, it didn't get a whole lot of views, but it's not cherry blossom season either, so I wasn't really expecting too much since cherry blossom probably isn't a trending topic these days, so it's kind of expected. But please make sure to keep sharing the video and keep supporting it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.